Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Making It podcast. Now I'm trying not to look away because we need that microphone for you to hear us. But we're here for episode 12. I'm with Dan and we're doing another in-person podcast. This time we're at the pub where we work. Dan, welcome to the podcast. Good to have you home.
Yeah,
I can't believe you're in
man,
person.
It's nice and it's a funny little setting. You know, you've seen us speak in real life in a student union podcast, but now we're in the pub and it's surrounded by wine bottles. It's quite interesting. But how have you been this week, Jamie? What's a key thing that's happened with you this week, bro?
Football training. Obviously, you coming home is a big thing, so we'll get onto that one in the next bit. But football training, I did a session with our team and I got involved playing. So I played my first bit of football since November, which was nice.
How was your injury?
Good. It felt good. I went and scored a goal, but they disallowed it. So shout out to Beeston coaches because you ruined my night with that. But no, we did a session with the under-13s after that, I think, and Ryan, the manager of the team, he put out a really good session, 3v3v3. We had a great time. You know, we had a really good time. All the lads enjoyed it and they worked hard. And this is the first time I've coached and felt like they've taken something out of it and they've understood what we've said and it's actually worked. And you can see how over the course of the session they've gradually improved. So that's my big takeaway from this week. How about you? Obviously, being back's good to see you.
It's nice to be home, bro. Just for context for the listeners, I came home because my girlfriend Scarlett, her stepsister had an engagement party, so that was nice. Got to know a bit more of her family, and then I've been with Jamie today. The League Cup final was on. Newcastle won 2-1. Jamie came around for a Sunday dinner and watched it, so that was good fun. Spent some time with the family, so it's all good. But for me, a key takeaway this week, brother, was probably when I went to Hull away.
Yeah. What happened?
And the listeners know I've not had a win yet as coach, and that's still the case. So it's difficult because I put hard work in, and I've spoke to you about it before, mate. You know, doing the drills and the training sessions, and we work on certain game plans, and then it doesn't go to plan, and it's not ideal because you just want to win. But sport isn't like that. It's unpredictable, and you know we speak about riding that wave, and I think it's hard to ride that wave.
Yeah.
But we lost 2-0. We had a good first half. It was the most positive I've seen them at half time. But the second half, we just lost it a little bit and we lost 2-0. So we got one more game of the season, praying for a win, but we'll see what happens. But I felt low. I felt low on the way back in the coach, and all the lads were still okay, but I had a banging headache, and I was quite upset, you know, because I just wanted to win. And I wanted to chat to you this week about feeling low and riding the wave. And, you know, we talk about this long-term process. You know, me and you both share that perspective of having a long-term process. Life isn't a quick fix or a short-term gain. Everything is long-term. So I know for a fact that this part of my journey, I'm going to look back on this part of the journey and go, yeah, I did a lot of learning there. I may not have got the results, but I learned a hell of a lot. However, it still doesn't get rid of that sting, that burn of losing. How do you think it is best? I know we talk about riding the wave, but are there certain things we can focus our thoughts on, or certain distractions, positive distractions, in those moments where we feel low and we're having low moments in that long-term process where it almost feels like, is this long-term process worth it?
I think maybe your frustration is with translation in terms of your hard work isn't translating into results. Rather than actually just the overall, I'm not getting a win, it's your hard work, and because I know you're unselfish, your team's hard work not translating into that win. That's what the frustration is, because you feel like with the hard work and the good things that are going on, which, by the way, for anyone that is listening, I've been to training, I've seen it, I've tindled it, mate. I've tindled it, what a goat. And I've seen the hard work you put in. So maybe that's where the frustration really comes from. Obviously, you're free to say what you wish to say to that. But it is tough because we've spoken about it before, and I know we were slightly different in terms of, I do believe that you should play football to try and win.
Of course.
I think that
never changes.
It doesn't change, but my big motivation is if my kids with my team aren't enjoying football, I wouldn't say it's down to the drills. I'd say they're not winning. They're not winning games. Because kids want to win games. Yeah. And adults want to win games. You guys want to win a game. I'm 100% sure.
So how do you deal with those sort of moments where you feel low? And, you know, if a listener's listening and they do have that long-term perspective, how do they deal with those tough moments in the process?
Because you remember it's a process. If you started by winning, you wouldn't know what this hard time feels like. So when you go and you eventually lose, that streak will be worse and you will be more clueless on how to come out of it. But now you've kind of had a really tough period. When you come out of that, you'll be far stronger because those foundations have been built on really tough ground, that you've built because of, again, having the poor form and stuff. So I would just say if you've got that long-term vision, you'll be fine. As long as you're consistent with your work rate now.
So it's more or less just an understanding of, yes, I'm feeling low in the moment right now, and yes, it's difficult, but this is part of the process. And if you can tell that to yourself, then you can move on forward. So it's kind of focusing on the good things. So, I don't know, we lost on Wednesday, but I can look back. And I think a beautiful thing, and you spoke about it last week on the podcast about Nottingham Hospital Radio and how it was that period of time where someone said to you, I think it was Darren Fletcher, you said last week, this is going to be great for you. Like, this is the best thing you can have, commentating on football week in, week out. But for a while, you didn't understand that. And we look back in hindsight and we look back on moments where, wow, that really did a lot for me. So maybe it's focusing on those good things and those good moments. And I can look back on my first session where Stephen, the coach that helps he mentors me, we were in front of the lads and he goes, Dan, what have you got to say? And I'm just like, boys, let's get a win tomorrow. I had no idea what to say. Now I can say a game plan. I can say what each player can do. Yeah. It's that progression and it's focusing on those good things, that process and that learning and that growing, which is so easy to forget about because we're in it. It's like if I was with you for every day and you were growing, I probably wouldn't notice. But if I came back and didn't see you for a while, I'd be like, wow, Jamie, you've grown a lot. But we don't notice that because we see ourselves every day. And I think that's a key thing to look on. But how do you feel like your current life process is right now? Where do you think you are on your journey to... Because it's an interesting stage as part in life. We see people around us and they're doing different things. And I'm sure the listeners they don't really, especially at a young age, you may not know where your life's going to go. And there always is that fog. How do you deal with going through the fog? And what sort of stage of your journey do you think you're at currently right now?
I'd say there's been periods of fog that I've had before. Before I got my second professional commentary and the Premier League thing, things were looking a bit like, what's next? I don't know. But that's instilled a bit of hope in me. And also it's instilled a bit of pride in me because I know that I can do those things regularly when I'm asked to. But with me going to Australia, it's like that is the big fog. That's like what is next for me. I don't know. I don't know. But I would say if you are feeling you're in the fog a little bit, maybe just try and carry on with what you're doing. Be persistent because those opportunities will come. Mine came at random. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I went out and emailed a million people and eventually they came by random. So if you are in that period of fog, trust in your process. If you think that you've built... There was in a book I read called Atomic Habits, and it's not about those kind of last-minute choices. It's about the system you build. The system you build for the habits that you have and that you create. That's what's important. So build yourself a good system that will, enable you to kind of have these opportunities. Have you put in the hard work before to lay the foundations for you to have a good network of contacts? Have you laid down the foundations for you to have good quality in your product, in your work? Have you laid down that foundation? So put the hard work in and then, over time, slowly it should start to come.
I think it's that idea of we don't see results.
Yeah.
And
straight away.
And that's the tough thing I think a lot of us struggle with in that long-term process. And it's like when we were speaking to my dad earlier and he was saying gardening is great because you can see the result pretty quickly. But there's a lot of things in life, the real things we want, where the juices of our labours come a lot later on in life. They're not instant. It's not instant fresh orange juice, but it's later on in life, like tree sap. But I think that's the difficult part of it. My mind's gone away from what I was going to say. But I think when you are in that fog, it's about trusting the process. But what sort of habits do you have? That's what I was going to say, and I'm not going to forget it.
He's ready.
I was once in a position where I was seeing a few of my mates, and if they're listening right now, I've got no problem with it. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Etsy, but it's a store place where people can sell jewellery, and I had a few mates that were trying to make a bit of money from drop shipping on there, and I was starting to think to myself, like, why don't I do that? You know, I'm capable of making a bit of money on Etsy. You know, I can work hard and all this. And Jamie sat to me and went, well, when have you ever said to me you got a passion for Etsy? And I don't. I've got a passion for sports psychology, coaching, people around me, like helping them. And, you know, I've got no passion in Etsy. I've got no passion in money. Money will come from my passion. Praise the Lord that happens. But I think in that moment, I called Jamie one time and I said to Jamie, I was like, I want to do sports psychology, but what if I do a bit of Etsy on the side and make a bit of money and this stuff? And Etsy was never going to be a thing for me. And Jamie said, right now, you're building the foundations. You can't build a house unless you built the foundations. You're not going to start building an extension before you built the foundations. And when Jamie said that to me, I had a little light bulb moment. I wrote it down in my book, and that's one of the best things you ever said to me, brother. There's a few things I wrote down in my book. I remember another one as well. We were speaking about relationships, and I was speaking about my girlfriend, and you were telling me, like, in that early stage where you're a bit, I think anyone who's in a relationship, I'm sure you'll understand, you feel quite insecure in the first stages. You feel like what is yours may not be yours forever. They may not stay around forever because you're in that short term, that the real trust, the foundations of your relationship are being built. So it's hard to then have that trust, which you could class as the house of the relationship. And Jamie said to me, it's like when you get a new watch and you don't want to really wear it too much because you're worried about it breaking, but then you start to wear it every day and you become to trust that watch. Just like you become to trust your partner. You know, at first you're a bit worried about them going out, what they're going to do, but over time it's like, you know what, have your night out. I know you're not going to do anything. You love me, I love you. And it's interesting. Jamie's given me a few sparks there. It's a difficult question to think on your feet here, but has there ever been something someone said to you and it's almost like you've gone, yeah, I like that one, I'm keeping that one?
Said to me or that I've heard? Does it have to be said to me?
Either or, man.
I mean, I would just say, just enjoy your life is a big one, which is such a
Never
small,
forget that,
small. It seems unimportant, but you know, when I've been thinking a lot this week about what life actually is, super deep. I've not even needed this. I've just been sitting there at 1 o'clock watching Netflix, and I've gone, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? And I think, but you know, you can only chase money for so long before eventually it's like, I'm too old now. Do you know? And like, I think the position that I'm in at the moment, I'm sustainable. So I can go on nice trips away and go to Australia. I can do this. You know, I work hard. Do you know, it's not easy, but the way I'm living now is sustainable for me. And that's happiness for me. So anything else is a bonus.
So what do you mean by you can only chase money until it's like, I'm too old now? What do you mean by that?
Because if you're someone who likes to sort of chase money rather than your passion, let's say you start at 18, till the age of 70 maybe, if you get lucky enough to live to 70, so you've got 42 years, is it about that? 42 years, 52 years? That's how long you've got to chase that money. And then what else? What are you going to do with that money? What, you're 70? You think you're going to go and do jet skiing around the Statue of Liberty, or you're going to go to Australia? You're not going to do these things. You're going to become comfortable and you're going to want to sit down and do nothing. So when someone says to me, my motivation is money, but what? I want to talk to you about money now, because money is great. I like having money. I worry when I don't have money. I don't worry when I've got money. That's how it is. Money is security. And you'd be an idiot to say that money doesn't provide some happiness, because it provides loads. I couldn't come and see you in Newcastle and have a day at the Dubliner, or go to Forest, or any of these things without money. But for me, money can't be your only motivation. So I know people in my life that say that money is their only motivation, and that is okay. But that's sad. That's sad, because money is just an artificial construct. That's just a thing that someone has just created to kind of trade things and do all this. And what do we really seek as human beings? Like, at the end of the day, if you strip back everything we've got now, buildings, properties, money, all this, we are just humans. our natural instinct is to want to travel a bit and to find
Do
someone.
things that are fulfilling.
To do things that are fulfilling and natural. Do you know what I mean? Natural. And okay, travelling on a plane like 12,000 miles away, it's not really natural, but that's something that humans need to do.
I think with money, I think no one can ever say they don't like having money. If you say that, then unless you've got billions and it's too much, then you're lying really. But
yeah.
I think for me, money, it's like almost if you treated life as a game, money is how you get to certain places, and without money you can't buy things you need like food. It's your resource. It's a resource.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be your goal. And if money is your goal, it's completely understandable. You may come from a place where you don't have money and you want to be able to then give back to people who struggled without money. And listen, maybe I can't talk too much because I've grown up in a position where my family have always been quite stable with money. So me going, I want to be fulfilling and going that sort of direction in life. But I've always had a stable income, so I don't know what it's like to kind of not have money, and I'll happily admit that. But I do think chasing your passion is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Money is just what will get you by, and it will get you to places and give you experiences. But if you want to live a fulfilling life, then you've got to chase that passion, because, like you say, if you stripped everything back, what do you have? What's your character?
What's your passion when you have money? So if your motivation and your passion is only money, what happens when you have it? Because I'd love to be a millionaire. I've got no shame in admitting I'd love to have £1 million in my bank account, have my nice car. What about when I've got that though? What's your motivation then? If I had £1 million, I know exactly what I'd do. My dad would have a nice house and a nice car. My mum would have nice things as well, and a car and all sorts. She enjoys where she lives and stuff, But if she wanted a house, I'm sure. But I'd go travelling. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Everyone's life purpose is different, but I don't honestly believe that anyone's life purpose is just to earn money. I think that is a front. I think it's a front.
Yeah, and I think especially with earning money, it's about having goalposts. Because once you get a certain amount, do you want to carry on moving those goalposts, or are you happy with the amount you've got? And I'll bring something up with you, Jamie. We're quite driven lads, and the idea of, are things ever enough? Is life ever enough? Because you always want that next thing. We're not talking about money here, but even your passion. I may get into a club as a sports psych, but I want to maybe be a bit known more, make a book. For you, do you think that leads to dissatisfaction, or can you live a driven life by things never being enough?
I think everyone has that though. Like nothing. I know people go, I'm grateful for where I am, but they will always want something else. You might meet the manager of a football club and they'll go, but I'd love to manage this team one day. Or you might meet someone that's a manager in Tesco and they go, but I want to be head of the regional department one day. So even though everyone goes, I'm comfortable where I am and I'm happy, there is that next aspirational step that doesn't have to happen, but they'd like it to happen. So I would say that in my life, I'm happy with where I am. I'm comfortable with it. But I will always want more, because we as humans are like that. We always want the next best thing. The important thing is to recognise that we as humans have boundaries. We're people. Do you know what I mean? Like today, I didn't want to get, or yesterday even, did not want to go to Ipswich away. I was having major second thoughts. I was about to text my friend and be like, I don't fancy it. I'm not feeling mentally, I'm not feeling good. Like I felt a bit, in the dumps, and even today I felt a bit rubbish. I didn't fancy going to work this morning. I'm like, I'm just not feeling it at the moment. I've just been in a bad mood today. But it's about remembering those boundaries, looking after yourself, and then trying to put your energy into things that matter. So this is where my question is going to come into it now. How do you sort of separate your day in order to make it the most productive, and in order to better attack those passions of yours? Like, how do you structure your day to make sure that you get the most out of what you love?
I think each day is different, so I wouldn't say every day has the same structure at all, and I wouldn't ever want it to, because I like life a bit unpredictable. I like there to be a bit of difference in my days. But I think it's setting some time aside every day to make sure you're doing something which aligns with your passion. And I think for me, I've mentioned it before, but learning a sports psychology fact every day, even if that's 30 seconds of me just writing down a fact, that's me putting time into my passion every day, no matter what. And I think it's things like that. We talked about having a system and having habits. I think it's putting into that system your passion. What you're doing each day, which accounts towards your passion. And I think that's the way I always build on that. And that can go further. I could listen to a podcast if I wanted to. But in terms of that never being enough, I think for some people that can be very unhealthy. Something's never enough. You can't possibly be happy. However, I think you can use it in a productive way, because for me, I always feel like there is a next thing. But I know I'm happy with where I am now and I'm enjoying it, but I look forward to the next thing. And I think it's using it in a productive way. But is it a question for listeners to ponder on and for Jamie to answer now?
Ooh.
Is it the happiness, is it the pursuit to happiness or the happiness of the pursuit?
I'm going to go happiness of pursuit, because as humans we like to chase things that we want. So you could put it in any context. That in a relationship context, there might be someone that you've fancied for a long time, and you go, I kind of want to work up to that. Do you know? and kind of lads they won't admit it, but we do love the chase a little bit, and girls definitely love the chase of it, and that's in a relationship context. But in any sort of job context, you want to chase something. What do I want to be? Like, I love Peter Drury at Sky, but I'd love to take his job. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want that pursuit of something incredible and in your life groundbreaking. That is what makes me happy, the pursuit. So even though the destination makes me happy, it is overall the journey. It's all about the journey, right? When people say it's all about the journey, not the destination, that kind of links to that. Because what is the journey? The journey is the pursuit. And the happiness is the destination. But despite happiness being the destination...
the happiness wouldn't be the destination. It's the happiness of the pursuit.
But
if happiness was the destination, then you would be saying it's the pursuit of happiness.
Or is it both?
I don't think it's both, because I think...
Because you're happy with the journey, but then the destination you're still going to be... Because what I'm saying is that I'm not saying I'm not happy where I am, but the happiness in the pursuit almost comes in waves. This is because it's intangible. You can't touch it. You can't openly write it or draw it.
Spiritual now.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying though, because you can't even really draw it out. It's a mad sort of philosophical thing, but the happiness in the pursuit comes in waves. It goes up and down, right? Like a heart monitor. You've got moments where you go, oh great, I've got this thing. This could lead to something. Oh, that's not leading to anything. And it goes up and down and up and down and up and down. But do you ever really reach that destination?
And I don't think you do, man. I think that I've always thought, I'm not always thought, but something I've thought as of late is I think the destination is your day to day. I think how do you feel every day? Do you feel like you want to attack the day? Is the day a challenge or a threat every day? Are you happy each day? Is life fulfilling each day? And each day is going to be different, but if we're always chasing for a destination, we're never happy when we get to the destination. So why can't the destination almost be how we are every day? And that's where I think maybe scrap the destination. And it is just the journey. Just enjoy the journey, and the journey never stops, and never expect it to stop.
But what is a journey without a destination? Because what are you journeying to?
Maybe it's checkpoints. We go to different checkpoints. We're not a final end goal.
But what is a checkpoint?
A checkpoint is
a destination.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Do
you know what I mean? So you need something. This is what Matthew McConaughey said. He said, I want to be my hero. But that's not happening anytime soon. So he goes and says to someone, am I my hero yet? And he's like, not. Someone asks him even, are you your hero yet? And he goes, no, I'm not even close. 5 years later, he goes back, are you your hero now? He says, I'm miles away. 15 years later, still not my hero, but I'm in a better place than when I started. And that's what it's about. You will never be your hero, but having that thing to work towards and look towards, and then that good, gradual, happy journey, that happiness that comes along that journey, that's what's important. So you trying to be your own hero, you'll never be the greatest that's ever lived, perhaps, but that mentality that sees you through to that next checkpoint, as you call it, makes you enjoy the journey and makes it fulfilling. Because if you aren't aiming towards anything, then you will be sat on the sofa every day doing nothing. Because you'll go, oh, I don't care about the destination, man. I'm just chilling. Do you know what I mean? And then that's fine but that is your journey to some other destination. But there is always a destination. Everyone's different.
I think it's just having that awareness that when we're talking about being our hero and going to the next step and going to each destination, it's understanding that, at least have that awareness that you're never going to be that hero.
Yeah.
That it is always a chase. Because if in your head you're thinking one day you will be there and you never get there, then you might become a bit upset about that.
And also, like, the issue is, I think, with people is that they don't know what their destination is or what their objective is.
What their why is. People
right?
need to know their why.
So, if, like for me, I have an idea of what my destination is, but I don't know exactly. You will know an idea of what your destination is, but you don't know exactly. And perhaps that's something that's still subjective. Do you ever know your true destination? Or do you just kind of have ideas of what that looks like? Do you know what I mean? It's such a weird subject because you don't know your destination, you don't know your journey, but that's what makes it exciting.
That's the fog. Enjoy the fog.
And that's the fog.
Yeah.
And, you know, but at the end of the day, again, like I say, you strip it back, we are all just humans. So, like, looking for material things, if material things are your destination, you'll achieve them. Like, if you want to own a house, you'll achieve that. That's your destination, you'll achieve that. If you want to achieve greatness or you want to achieve, you know, that's a different thing. So that's a really interesting.
Yeah,
it's quite hard to discuss, isn't it? You know, it's quite a good debate.
Listeners, please comment if you feel free to comment on your thoughts, because that was an interesting debate, and it was Jimmy Carr that I heard on Diary of a CEO who said it's not the pursuit of happiness, but the happiness of the pursuit. I surprised Judy, and Judy will be listening. I surprised her today, and it was beautiful because she wasn't expecting it. Hello, Judy. But she said to me today, and she went, Dan, what matters to you? And I went people. People matter to me.
People matter.
What matters to you, Jamie? Would you disagree with the same thing?
No, I'd say the same thing. People matter because we are the product of people in everything that we are. You know, you as a human being, the product of your mum and dad. You know, and you as a sports psychologist are the product of someone influencing you somewhere and another person influencing you somewhere. That's what life is. Influence.
Yeah, exactly, and that's that having a why. That's what matters to you is your why. And it was nice that Julie brought that up, and it was a pleasure to see her today. And I said on the last podcast I'll mention what the MET model was for anyone who listened to it. I believe I actually haven't had the chance to look, but I remembered. I think it's mental, emotion, and togetherness. So Burnley, it's going to be so random for anyone listening right now, but last week I was talking about a mental framework. Yeah. But just for the listeners last week, MET model is mental, emotion, togetherness. And if you don't know what that is, go watch the last episode, because why not?
And because it's good as well.
Exactly. We've heard it's the best yet. So
it's important to back yourself as well with these things. And I think that the episode should be called External Influence because people and external influence are the reason we are the way we are.
Yeah.
If someone didn't influence me and text me, if Steve didn't text me
night,
Steve Colby, he's the guy that introduced me to Hospital Radio.
There you go.
If he didn't text me that night, shout out to Steve, he's on a boat right now. If he didn't text me that night, I wouldn't be here. So external influence is important because you aren't just going to internally decide your future. That is, in a way, your future is actually decided by other people in the fact that their influence kind of their influence. No, wait, hold on, because their influence, it kind of takes over what you're thinking. It kind of
takes you in a direction.
Takes you in a new direction.
Yeah.
I want to say that influences you, but that doesn't make any sense. But influence.
That last minute of talking was just like, bro, I don't know what direction I went.
Can anyone count how many times I said influence?
If you can, comment down below, you get a prize. You get
7.
This duck. My brother got me this from Amsterdam. For the listeners watching, I'm currently holding a Johan Cruyff duck from Amsterdam.
Fair enough. Total football, mate. Wouldn't beat Forest if he was the manager. But any sort of funny stories or anything you want to kind of end the podcast with?
You love to go with any funny stories.
Yeah, I do.
I completely get it. Listen, I'll say the story. My mate Fiki said I can say it. I don't know if I'll deliver it in the best way. And for any listeners watching or listening right now, if you listen to this story and just go, "Dan, that was not funny," then I've described.
Can I ask if this is appropriate? Definitely. Is it the story I'm thinking of?
It's 100% appropriate. I won't go with the full story, but I say a small bit of part of the story. So my mate Fiki was on a night out and he comes back, and his friend is in the living room with him, and it's a friend from a while ago, but they're having a chat, and it's one of the most odd things my mate Fiki has ever experienced. But they're just having a chat like me and Jamie, and Fiki says something about the guy. He goes, he just says something about the guy, like asking him a certain question about his character and who he is and what he wants to do in life and stuff. And then the guy goes,
Do the thing.
"Get a load of this guy." Just like completely turns round away from my mate Fiki and goes, "Get a load of this guy." Completely breaks the fourth wall. Now it's difficult to I just feel like people are going to listen to that and just not find it funny, but
yeah, it was funny.
You need Fiki to explain it to you, but just I've never known someone to be in a conversation if someone breaks the fourth wall like they're in a pantomime or something.
Get a load of this guy. Can you believe it?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting to come out with that, I'll be honest. I don't know what my funny story is.
You don't have to have one, man. It's been a
I don't actually think,
episode, man.
I'll be honest with you, I don't think I have any funny stories. How boring is that, I know. But yeah, no, it's been a great episode. We are 3 months into the podcast in terms of episodes.
Episode 12
regular episodes every Tuesday, 10 a.m. One guest as well, so technically 13 podcasts as well if you count that. But we are going to be doing more vlogs. I'm going to be doing one after the international break at Forest, and then a couple of other bits as well. So we've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. But I appreciate you listening. Dan?
Pleasure. Been awesome, man.
Terrible dap, by
Terrible
the way.
connection.
But that's fine.
In the pub.
We're in the pub. This, not a permanent fixture, but for now, this will do. So that was episode 12 of the Making It podcast. Good to have you back, Dan.
Take care, everybody.
See you soon.
Peace out.